At the beginning of the movie, the main character doesn't understand how he couldn't have come up with his idea earlier. There are many comic books and superhero costumes in the world. At least one weirdo should try them on himself. Dave is sure that everyone at least once wanted to escape from ordinary life and become a superhero. A man in a suit decides to jump from a skyscraper, but gravity catches up with him. 6 months before, Dave goes to school as usual. The hero is an ordinary guy who has not distinguished himself anywhere. Dave realizes that he is the simplest teenager like the rest of us. At home, the hero communicates via video link with his friend Todd, or fantasizes about his English teacher. Also, Dave is partial to a beautiful girl named Katie. The hero spends time with his buddies at the comic book store and speculates about why people don't become superheroes. Todd believes that if a regular person put on a costume and tried to fight gangsters, it would be a total kick in the ass. Dave decides to approach Chris, a rich guy who has no friends at all. The latter is pleased with the hero, however his security guard decides to cut off contact. Returning home, Dave and his friend encounter 2 guys who take away their money and comic books. The hero notices a man in the window who simply pulls the curtains. Dave realizes that it's hard for people to stand up for someone else, even when they see something unfair. Back home, the hero decides to order a costume for himself. At this time, Chris is waiting in the car for his father to go to the movies. Frank, who sells forbidden things, deals with one of the employees, after which he goes to his son. Dave waits for his costume and rehearses future victories over the villains in front of a mirror. At the same time, Big Daddy is training his daughter in an abandoned field. Hit Girl is wearing a bulletproof vest, and the man helps her get used to the sensation of a bullet flying at her. The girl agrees to train longer, but in return she demands to go bowling and eat ice cream. At the cafe, Mindy asks her father to buy her a new gun for training. A new day arrives. Dave pulls on his regular clothes over his suit and drives to school. The hero tries to get used to the new status, and after classes, he trains in a secluded place. One day, going home, Dave notices 2 hooligans breaking into someone else's car. In costume, the hero approaches them and begins a battle for justice. Dave is wounded in the stomach, after which some man accidentally runs him down with his car. The hero ends up in the hospital and asks the paramedics not to tell about his suit. Meanwhile, Frank is visited by his assistant Big Joe. Chris tries to eavesdrop on their conversation, but he is quickly spotted. The guy often fantasizes about how he will deal with serious issues, just like his father. Meanwhile, Frank is trying to figure out who is stealing and reselling his merchandise. Big Daddy sits in his room full of miscellaneous weapons and calls Mindy to him. The man gives the girl 2 knives and quickly quizzes her on her knowledge of different types of weapons and their properties. Dave, meanwhile, comes out of the hospital with titanium plates in his bones. At school, the hero notices that people are starting to whisper about him. After class, Katie speaks to Dave and invites him for coffee. Todd reassures the hero, saying that the girl approached him out of pity. Because Dave asked the paramedics to say that he was found without a costume, everyone at school began to think that he was not only robbed, but dishonored. The hero continues his training and becomes an enhanced superhero version of himself. One night, Dave goes out on the street and sees an ad for a missing cat. The hero decides to track down the animal and bring it home. Dave notices the cat on a small roof and decides to climb up after him. The hero falls right on top of a guy who is running away from the criminals. The bandits thank Dave and start beating the poor guy. The hero decides it's his time to show his strength. Dave attacks the bandits and protects a wounded man. Visitors of the diner notice this confrontation and record it on video. After the battle is over, the guy thanks Dave. One of those who filmed the video approaches the hero and learns his new name, Kick-Ass. The hero becomes popular online, and they are even going to draw a comic book about him. Dave creates his own website where people can contact him for help. One day, the hero has coffee with Kathy. The girl admits that she has always dreamed of such a gay friend, and tells about her ex, who often annoys her. Dave resigns to the fact that Kathy considers him a man-lover, and suggests that she write to Kick-Ass's website to deal with Rasul. Soon the hero puts on a suit and sets out to defend Kathy's honor. Rasul turns out to be too dangerous opponent. However, Hit Girl unexpectedly comes to the hero's aid. The girl quickly disposes of all enemies and takes the money. Dave also gets acquainted with Big Daddy, who puts on a Batman costume. Back home, the hero almost cries as he realizes that he will never be as tough as Hit Girl and her father. Frank, meanwhile, receives information that Rasul and his team were destroyed. The man believes that Kick-Ass set it all up, as he can be seen in a photo of one of the employees. Frank decides to set up a hunt for the superhero. Meanwhile, Big Daddy and his daughter sneak into Dave's room. Hit Girl tells that it's very easy to figure out the hero by his website's IPI. Big Daddy says that they have to work together. To summon them, the hero must write on the site that he is going on vacation. Meanwhile, a policeman enters Big Daddy's house. On the table, Marcus finds a comic book that describes the man's life. Big Daddy was a cop and worked with Marcus until he was framed by Frank. The man went to jail and his pregnant wife died. Before her death, however, she managed to give birth to Mindy. Marcus became her guardian. 5 years later, Big Daddy was released from prison and took his daughter. Now the man is preparing Mindy for a large-scale revenge on Frank. Marcus talks to the returned Big Daddy and asks him to be more careful, as Frank is looking for Kick-Ass. The man, meanwhile, is going about his business when he notices a guy in a suit. Frank cancels him out, thinking that he is the real Kick-Ass. However, it turns out that it was just a dressed-up fan. Meanwhile, Dave continues to mend his relationship with Katie. The girl even says that she feels sorry that the hero likes guys. Meanwhile, Chris decides to help his father with the capture of Kick-Ass. The guy pretends to be a superhero named Red Mist and offers the hero to meet and work together. Dave agrees, not knowing he's being set a trap. The hero goes with Chris to the warehouse where supposedly someone needs help. On the way, the guy realizes that Kick-Ass is almost not dangerous and would not be able to deal with Rasul and his men. Upon reaching the warehouse, Chris sees that everything is hiding in flames. The terrified guy runs inside and finds Frank's men on the floor annulled. While Dave tries to find Red Mist, he grabs a teddy bear off the shelf and goes home. Frank arrives and is horrified at what has been done to his warehouse. The man is convinced that Kick-Ass is to blame. However, arriving Chris convinces his father that the hero has nothing to do with it. He could not have done such a thing. The guy connects the bear to the TV and realizes that a camera was installed there. The footage shows Frank's men being attacked by a superhero in a Batman costume, Big Daddy. Dave, meanwhile, is disappointed in the career of a superhero and decides to leave this occupation. However, at last the hero decides to put on the costume and break into Katie's room. The girl is very frightened by the uninvited guest and attacks him. Dave takes off his mask and confesses that he is the real Kick-Ass and says he doesn't like guys. Upset, Katie asks the hero to leave, but then changes her mind. The girl offers Dave to sit next to her, after which she kisses him. Not believing his happiness, the hero goes to bed with Kathy. The next day, Dave goes with the girl to the comic book store, and his friends cannot believe their eyes. For the sake of Kathy's peace of mind, the hero decides to stop wearing the Kick-Ass costume. One night, Dave goes to the site and sees a lot of messages from Red Mist. The hero calls Katie and tells her he has to put on his costume one last time and meet another superhero. A disguised Chris lies that his house was trashed by unknown enemies. Guy asks that Kick-Ass contact the other superheroes. Dave, who doesn't realize this is a trap for Big Daddy, writes on the website that he's gone on vacation. Hit Girl's father decides to rush to the hero's aid. Big Daddy sends the hero a location where they can meet. Chris heads there by car, and Frank's men follow him, ready to get even with the abuser. Kick-Ass leads Red Mist to Big Daddy, not knowing that it threatens them all. As soon as Chris sees Mindy, he shoots her, and Frank's men grab the man in the Batman suit. Despite Red Mist's pleas, Kick-Ass is also shoved into the van as a prisoner. Frank decides to run a live broadcast showing the massacre of the superheroes. Kick-Ass and Big Daddy are severely beaten, then doused with kerosene and prepared to burn. However, at that moment, one of the men is hit by a bullet, and the lights go out. Saved by her body armor, Mindy infiltrates the warehouse and takes out Frank's men one by one. A burning Big Daddy gives her advice on eliminating the dangers. Mindy nullifies all the enemies and covers Daddy with a black cloth. Afterward, the girl says the show is over and breaks the camera. Frank is in deep shock, while Marcus, who has been watching the broadcast, rejoices at Mindy's success. The girl talks to Big Daddy and learns that he's been practicing shooting the vest with lighter bullets so as not to hurt her. A crying Mindy says goodbye to her father. The girl drives home and sees the cocoa she left for Big Daddy on the table. Mindy is determined to get revenge on Frank for what happened to her family. The girl infiltrates his house and skillfully destroys a large number of enemies. However, soon Mindy runs out of ammunition and is forced to hide behind the kitchen counter. The girl is about to be eliminated with a bazooka, but she is saved from this by Kick-Ass, who arrives on a special jetpack with a minigun. Dave fights Chris in one of the rooms. Mindy decides to deal with the main enemy, but loses. Frank is about to eliminate the girl, but she is saved in time by Dave. Together, they fly to a safe place. Chris vows to avenge what happened. Mindy falls back into Marcus's custody and starts going to school. This is the end of the movie. Thank you all for watching this video to the end. Give this video a like. Write in the comments what you think about this movie, and see you in new videos.